talking about the border in some quite colorful terms on the stump in New Hampshire. It's a little different, Donald Trump, than what we heard last night in Iowa after his big win. He took on a very different tone, really tried to sound like a general election candidate during his victory speech in Des Moines.
I really think this is time now for everybody, our country, to come together. We want to come together, whether it's Republican or Democrat or liberal or conservative.
In a new poll from YouGov, he, along with Haley DeSantis, all beat Joe Biden by varying numbers. Trump beats him by 2 points. Of course, the national horse race numbers, well, they don't really matter that much. We learned that in 2016. We learned that in 2000, for that matter. In the swing state of Georgia, Trump now beats Biden by 8 points. Trump lost the state in 2020. And that's despite the storms that Trump has weathered brought by Democrats over the years, including quite a few ongoing legal challenges. He was impeached and acquitted of soliciting foreign interference in the 2016 election. He was impeached and acquitted for events surrounding January 6th, impeached and acquitted for the Ukraine situation. He was later indicted for his actions leading up to January 6th. Then came the indictment in the classified documents probe, followed by an indictment for the state of Georgia, by the state of Georgia for election interference, faced the Stormy Daniels hush money case, and of course the ongoing case over claims he inflated the assets of his New York organization, his New York businesses. With us now, George Will, NewsNation senior political contributor, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist with The Washington Post. It's amazing. It feels as though Democrats would learn that the more they attack Donald Trump, the more they would get this person who they call a threat to democracy. It's almost like they enjoy it.
It's also a terrible confession that they say this is the only man Biden can beat. Everyone can tickle that from there. And you listen to Trump, it's hilarious for him to say it's time for us to come together. This is a man who's been calling his opponents vermin up until recently. This is a man who says, it's over, let's stop, after a tiny minority of the Iowa population has voted. And the Iowa population is less than 1% of the national population. New Hampshire's is half of that. By the time South Carolina has voted, 3% of the country will have been heard from. It's a little early to call the game.
No, look, there's no question he wants to call the game. The question I keep coming back to is, for as much of the hand-wringing about Donald Trump by Democrats, I think they'd like to call the game as well.
Oh, they would, certainly. If the Biden administration and the progressive prosecutors around the country and Merrick Garland's Justice Department were trying to nominate Donald Trump, how would they behave differently? It seems to me clearly that they are trying to pick Biden's opponent.
Biden's approval rating sits at 31%. Last ABC News survey, the lowest on record for a president in the past 15 years. The flip side of this would be that if the Democratic Party was worried about someone like a Nikki Haley actually having a rise, or they could not ordain, through what we've talked about, Donald Trump as the nominee, they would be forced to then reconsider, at least, Joe Biden.
If Trump's margin increases, you said he's 2 points ahead. That's the margin of error. So statistically, he's tied with Biden. Haley's beating Biden by 15, 16, 17 points. Depends really at this point on how focused is the Republican nominating electorate on winning in November. Or are they in it for the pure fun of being tribal together?
That's what I can't figure out, is for a Republican base that says they are so angry about Joe Biden and what Joe Biden is doing to the country. And reasonable people can agree that we got some problems here, whether it be the border, whether it be national security, we'll get to later, on and on and on. Yet that same electorate seems relatively unconcerned with picking the person who's most likely to beat Joe Biden.
The question is, will they stay that way? And here's the Haley campaign's path forward. You win New Hampshire, and you puncture the sense of inevitability that is surrounding. Voters hate inevitability. They hate being told the game is over and they're going through the motions. Then if she can win in South Carolina on the 24th, I believe, of February, 10 days later, Leland, Super Tuesday. More than half the number needed to nominate of delegates, that's 1,215. More than half that number will be selected that one day, 10 days after South Carolina. Now suppose that 10 days after South Carolina, the country has been looking around saying, the air is leaking out of that balloon. He's not inevitable any more than he's as rich as he says he was. We'll see.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.